Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Kevin Talks Tech Live. It is Monday, December 14th, just about a minute after 10 o'clock. Here's a view of downtown Minneapolis as we kick off tonight's show. I always show you this view every week, but I just love this drone footage. You can see all those nice buildings, although I do have to update this because there is a little bit of snow on the ground. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me online. Like I said, welcome back. It is Monday night. That must mean it's time for another Kevin Talks Tech Happy Hour. I finally got my camera fixed recently. I wasn't able to take myself full screen the last time we met last week or the week before that, but finally figured it out. Still working a little bit on the lighting situation around here. But for the most part, at least you can see me, and we will get that going here as well at some point soon. Little baby steps as we launch this live venture that is now, I believe, in about its fifth or sixth week at this point that we've been doing Kevin Talks Tech Live. Like I said, it's so good to have you here. If you're watching live with us, be sure to drop some comments into the live stream. I'm keeping my eye on it as best as I can as we're talking. But even if you leave something on demand, if you're watching this on demand after the fact, I'll answer that question in our episode next week when we meet again. So again, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to take a little bit of a different turn here today on Kevin Talks Tech Live and talk a little bit about some headlines that have been making news in the tech world. And like I said, if you're interested in dropping some comments in, be sure to do that. I see that Elle is back joining us here tonight. LM, happy Monday to you, Elle, and cheers. One of our favorite viewers who is always tuning in to Kevin Talks Tech Live and also commenting on the videos. So with that, let's talk about some headlines that are making news. One big one that caught my attention here over the last week, I've been waiting for this to drop, is the release of Apple Fitness and Apple Fitness Plus, excuse me. So Apple Fitness Plus is a subscription service that comes from Apple, and it basically gives you the ability to monitor your heart rate in real time, to monitor different metrics associated with your workouts, while you can actually engage with different workout programs that are available from Apple. This, of course, is all part of a big move from Apple into the subscription world, into the health and fitness world. You know, there comes a point, and Apple's, well, and really any phone company is kind of reaching it right now. You kind of plateau a little bit. I mean, we've seen so many phone features that have come out over the last number of years. And so this is kind of a new niche that Apple's gotten into in the subscription market, and now also in the health and fitness space as well. And so Apple Fitness Plus is basically that, and a whole bunch more, to be honest. And again, like I said, mind you here, I'm keeping an eye on our chat as I'm talking through this. You'll see me kind of bop back and forth. To really take advantage of Apple Fitness Plus, you are going to need to be an Apple user, because it is, and also on top of that, really, to get the full benefits, an Apple Watch user as well. So it includes a number of new workouts that are added every week to the Apple service. You do have to pay for it. You can see the pricing right here, $9.99 a month, or if you're willing to drop for the full year, $80 for the whole year. And if you do buy a new Apple Watch, this goes back as far as September 15th. If you do buy a new Apple Watch right now, you do get 3 months free of that. So you can essentially take off about $30 of that Apple Watch cost. And here's what the interface looks like right here. So as you can see, they support several different workouts. We're not just talking about your cardio, running, walking, high intensity exercises, that kind of thing. You know, there are things like dance and rowing and cycling, strength training in here as well. And so they have a number of different workout programs that you can engage with. Here's what it looks like on an iPad, an iPhone, and then over here on your TV. And so if you have the Apple Watch, that's what really makes this even more worth the while, because you're able to get things here like your heart rate, you're tracking calories right here as well. And so that just kind of makes it a little bit more interactive. And then you're able to see it up here in the corner too. So there's the heart rate right there. Apple Watch, or Apple Health, I guess you could say, also makes use of this circle that you have probably seen in the past. And I'm trying to see if you guys can see my mouse, actually. It looks like you can. Okay, good. So they make use of this little circle right here, the rings as they call it. And that indicates basically how much of the workout, or how much of the, what's the best way to put it? You need to fill up the rings. over the course of the day. And that determines, whether or not you've completed all the health steps, the physical movements, to get a full day's healthy routine in. And so this allows you to keep track of that monitor up here. That really is a big track or indicator of your steps and just basically your overall physical movement throughout the course of the day. So really, it's a very interactive experience. Like I said, you wear the watch over here. You can see it in real time on the watch side. You can then also keep track of it on the phone side as well. And there are a number of different workouts, which is really cool. I've been reading some reviews about it today, and so far I'm seeing good feedback about it. People are saying that it's worth the while. They do release new workouts. I believe from what I've read, it's every week. There's new workouts that are going to be released. So you're not just looking at the same old imagery all the time. And we're not just talking about cardio here. We're talking about things like yoga or chill vibes, as they call it. Because again, it's all about encompassing that overall wellness experience with Apple Fitness Plus. So here's a look at some of the workouts it supports: treadmill walk, high intensity workouts, rowing, dance, cycling, yoga, just to name a few. So it really goes beyond the rings that you saw on the iPhone or on the iPad. I can't remember if the iPad has the rings. Actually, I don't think it does, but it goes well beyond the rings and encompasses a number of different workouts. And I'll just page down here a little bit. So here is what the Fitness Plus interface looks like when you're choosing the workouts. Gives you the timing on there, gives you the type of workouts, whether it's chill vibes or something maybe with a little bit of rock to it. And looking at the picture too, you can see exactly what kind of workout it is. So again, this is just another way to engage with the Apple Watch, perhaps that you own already, or to engage with your iPhone a little bit more. Again, you do need to be an Apple user to be able to take full advantage of this and also have the latest version of iOS, which is 14.3, iPad iOS, which is also 14.3, and then Apple TV, and then Apple Watch, which I believe is 7.2. Yes, 7.2 right here is the latest version that takes care of that. So is it worth something checking out? I think it is. Depending upon where you are right now, too, in the country, we are seeing different restrictions nationwide right now with the coronavirus. Here in Minnesota, where I live, gyms are closed right now, and we won't know until Wednesday whether or not that's going to be extended any further. And on top of that, depending upon where you live in the country, again, here in Minnesota, it just gets cold in the winter. I mean, it's 7 degrees outside right now. It's going to get a lot colder than that. So if you're the type of person who, one, doesn't want to go to the gym, or you can't go to the gym because there are restrictions, or you're just a little bit, lazy to get outside of the house, or smart because you don't want to get out in the cold, this is another great option to be able to utilize. So something worth checking out. Again, this is Apple Fitness Plus. It is available now. It was actually just launched here today, and I do recommend checking that out. So Apple Fitness Plus. Add it to your list of things. And on top of that, Apple has also released cardio fitness notifications as well. And this is a measurement. And now I'm going to give you this information here. Full disclosure, not a doctor, so I don't have a lot of details as to what VO2 measures. Volume of oxygen, not quite exactly sure what that's a measurement of. But this feature that's built in encompasses a few different pieces of technology that are in the Apple Watch. So the Apple Watch has a number of different functions within it. One, I have to look up in here and see exactly what the function is again that it uses. I just had it in my mind a moment ago. I'll find it here. One is the accelerometer. Hang on here. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So Apple Watch has multiple sensors built into it: the optical heart sensor, the GPS, and the accelerometer. Those types of things are able to help track your VO2 level, essentially. And that VO2 level, the higher that VO2 level is, it's a little bit of a function of that oxygen that you're able to take into your body. And a lot of times those who work out more and people who are a little bit more physically active have higher levels of that. And it's really key to their performance when they're out working out. And so this is able to track what your VO2 level is, and you want this number to be higher. And it's a measurement ultimately of your cardio level that you're doing as well. And so this can give you notifications when that level is low. And you can also use this graph that's embedded in here to track how that level has been over the past year, month, week, and day also. So it's another nice feature. And then it also pops up the notification on your screen as well, like I said, to let you know when the levels are actually low. So it's a good thing to have on hand. It's, again, all encompassing, goes back again to creating that fitness experience with Apple and really making the Apple devices, the iPhones, the iPads, the Apple Watches, all encompassing personal wellness devices. So something worth checking out, especially if you're looking for a last minute Christmas gift idea. We all are, right? It is that time of year. And by my estimation here, we are just less than a couple weeks away from Christmas, less than 2 weeks away from Christmas. Wow. Anyway, so that's that. Let's now jump in and talk about another topic that has been very appealing for me that I was just reading actually about before we jumped on here. So let me jump back to my screen real quick. And this deals with just kind of a cool story, I thought. The Farm Goes VR. This out from CNET. John Deere's pitch for CES 2021 puts you in the tractor's seat. So this is something that happens every year. It's called the Consumer Electronics Show. Typically, it's held in Las Vegas. And it's an opportunity to showcase the newest in technology. It's where all the tech reporters converge, all the big tech companies converge, and it's a chance to showcase what's new and what's upcoming. And John Deere, who normally you probably wouldn't associate with technology as much, is actually getting into the mix. And this year's CES, of course, because of the coronavirus pandemic, is all virtual. And John Deere is looking to step into this virtual space to help farmers manage their land. And so rather than just sending out some videos to reporters, oftentimes companies will send out or have actually at CES different displays or different interactive setups for reporters to engage in. Obviously, that's a little bit harder because we're in a virtual setting. And so their plan is to send out these virtual reality simulations to reporters. Virtual or VR is what it's called. Virtual reality is the technology that you're using to do that. So they're going to utilize Facebook's $299 Oculus Quest 2 goggles, and those operate wirelessly. They don't have to be tied in to a computer. And so that VR experience is really all about sending those users out to the farm, experimenting with this different tractor equipment that they have available. And really when they're out there, I'll see if I can go down here and kind of show you what it looks like here. There we go. It really puts you inside one of the John Deere tractors and shows you what's involved with planting a field. What's cool is that John Deere is trying to bridge that gap between technology and the farmers and allow farmers better ways to manage their field, to really take a close look at utilize data, essentially. So here it is right here, down to the seed level. They do say, of course, viewing something in person is a little bit different than VR, obviously, but VR has made really big strides and is really creating a lot of cool experiences right now, especially in the gaming world. But there are practical applications for it like this, for just like this kind of purpose here too. And yeah, it's an opportunity for us to transport ourselves behind the wheel of one of these John Deere tractors into the seeds. And the program that they specifically are going to be showing reporters is showing them essentially the journey of the seed. And when you look at what that kind of seed looks like, it's really kind of a cool experience. And for farmers, it's really important because knowing the journey of that particular seed and how that planting is going is really important because they can make changes to their farming practices to be able to get those better yields, to figure out what went wrong this time and what can I do differently this time. Because, well, not speaking from personal experience of any kind of farming realm, but certainly when things don't go right, it's expensive and that's a loss. And if you can aid or use technology as an aid to figure out what went wrong or what you did really well, perhaps, and then replicate that in the future, that ultimately is going to lead to better results and be more productive. And farming, of course, is a business, just like any kind of business. Businesses are always interested in metrics. And that's probably been kind of hard for farmers when you don't utilize technology. You're probably basing it a lot on experience and your eye and, being able to go out and see as much as you can on the ground. But now farming is making that easy. And that's kind of where John Deere is getting in the mix here, is providing more of those technological solutions to farmers. And the way they're going about it, I think, is really cool, utilizing VR to show reporters how that's done. So something that we'll see at CES 2021, which takes place in January, virtually again, not happening in person. But if you are in the farming world, you're probably familiar with some of this already. But make note that John Deere is trying to let reporters know about this kind of technology. And of course, getting that word out that this is available is always a very, very good thing for the technology itself. All right, so let's jump into our other tech topic here that I want to talk a little bit about tonight. And we're not really necessarily back to Apple, but yes, I'm going to pull up this article here with Apple CEO Tim Cook. He recently was on a podcast called the Outside Podcast this past week. And it's really an article and that kind of recaps his talk that he gave on the Outside Podcast and about notifications on his phone. And he's pretty frank about it, that the idea behind Apple is really not to get users to sit on their phones and to be engaged in the phones for too long, which I could probably see some truth to that. I think they do want people to be engaged on their phones and utilizing their iPhones and utilizing those paid subscription services and such that we were talking about a little bit earlier, and utilizing those apps that make app users money. But at the end of the day, Tim Cook is in this podcast talking a little bit about how the screen time notifications that are built into the devices that Apple produces now really was kind of an eye-opener for him. He realized how much time he was spending on his iPhone, and because of that, decided to dial back, looked at different ways that he could reduce the amount of time he's spending on there. And one way he was able to do that was to reduce notifications overall. So, or schedule a downtime when the phone can't be used. And so he ended up turning off a lot of notifications on his phone. And you guys know how this works. When you're on your phone, you get all these notifications. For me, it's these news alerts that pop up. It's these stock markets alerts that pop up. It's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's Snapchat. It's all these things that anytime you hear that tone on your phone, or you see out of the corner of your eye, your screen turn bright and something pop up in the upper part of your phone, yeah, it takes your attention away. You bring your eye over there, you open it up, then you go into Facebook, and then you end up in a Facebook hole, and you're browsing for 2 minutes, and then it's 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes. Then you get an Instagram notification pop up, and yeah, it really can suck you in, and you really lose sight of how much time you're spending in your phone. So the notifications are built in if you're an iPhone user, and you can go ahead and track, well, it automatically tracks those that screen time for you. It tells you what kind of time you're spending within certain types of apps and doing certain types of activities. So really would highly encourage you to check that out. And I do believe too that Android also has Android screen time notification. Let me pull that up here because I haven't used Android for quite some time. Really need to get back into Android here again at some point soon. There are a number of features on Android. What I really like about Android is that it's very good at open source type of programs and not as restrictive when it comes to Apple and all of the restrictions that Apple sometimes puts on its developers out there that are developing applications. So I don't have a real clear answer here for you. Let me pull it up here on Google. Android screen time notifications. Okay. Daily device usage, screen time on Android. So there's some different articles out here that you can set up it's under the digital well-being and parental controls section. And this honestly doesn't necessarily have to be a parental controls type of thing. Don't think about it like that. We all should be managing our screen time probably much better than we are doing right now, and being a little bit more mindful of how much we're on our phone. So if you go into this digital well-being and parental control section, you would go on your Android phone, tap settings, digital well-being, parental controls, the three-dot menu on the top right corner, and then select manage your data, and then toggle daily device usage. And it's going to be this section right here, digital well-being and parental controls, managing your data, like I said, daily device usage. And that's going to give you some different numbers here as far as you can kind of see it a little bit in the corner right here, Amazon Kindle, the clock. There's another section here, how many times you've unlocked your phone over the course of the day, how many notifications have popped up on your phone. Pretty eye-opening stuff. And so I'd recommend checking that out. I don't have my phone tethered to the computer right now, so let me do this. Apple screen notifications, or Apple screen time is what I want to do. So Apple screen time, and I'm pulling it up here on my computer rather than my phone because I want to be able to give you a visual on the computer. So if you want to work in screen time and set that up on your phone, settings, screen time, turn on that tap on screen time, then click continue. And if you're a parent, you can also do things like setting a screen time passcode. So that way, when time limits expire, the children who are using the phone are going to have some difficulties using that, and you're going to need to enter the passcode to be able to go from there. And here's a little bit about what that screen time looks like. So it'll give you a daily average. It'll tell you that total screen time over the course of the week, and then it will tell you which apps you're using the most of. In this case, in this example, 2 hours of Messenger, an hour 51 of email, Safari, an hour 8. Now, do keep in mind, too, this is also going to measure time limits if you, let's say, are working and maybe you just kind of have your phone sitting up like this. And, a lot of people will have the auto off function, so the screen will go to black after 30 seconds or a minute. But if you don't have something like that and you're just keeping your email up all day at work, even though you're not necessarily looking at your phone screen, it is going to count that time towards your limits or towards your metrics. And so just something to be careful of. And much like Android too, you've got things in here like app limits, you've got communication limits, parental controls and such to be able to make sure that your kids are not using their screens too much and being able to manage their devices accordingly. So some really cool functions that you can check out if you are interested in doing a little bit of managing your kids' screen time on their phone, or if you're interested in managing your own screen time, which again, I totally think is worth it. And there is no shame in doing something like that. All right. So that brings us now to 10:25. We just have a couple minutes left here in this edition of Kevin Talks Tech Live, the Kevin Talks Tech Happy Hour. So I want to just browse my phone really quick here and just see if I had any questions that popped up. I don't have my Kevin Talks Tech page active right now up on my screen. So let me just dive into my comments for a moment here. And I'm just going to see if I have any new comments. I don't think that I do this week. I think we've answered all the comments last week. We did. So nothing new this week. Keep the comments coming, though. If you have questions, leave me a comment on this video or leave a comment on one of the other videos on the Kevin Talks Tech channel. Would be more than happy to answer those questions. That's really what I'm here to do, is to be a resource to you. And we've got a lot of smart people that subscribe to Kevin Talks Tech. That's what I love about Kevin Talks Tech. We have people that subscribe to this channel, 7,452 subscribers. Some of them do not know a thing about technology. They are clueless, which is totally fine because that's what this is all about. Then you've got people that are kind of like, yeah, you know some things, the basics. You can check the email, you can send pictures, you can text with the friends, the family, etc. And then you've got people that are like the power users. So these are the people that love computers, they love technology, they're nerdy, they're digging in kind of like I am all the time. And they're also great resources. And I really appreciate those people also who answer some of those questions when I'm not able to in the chat. Always appreciated. So with that wraps up Kevin Talks Tech Live. If you're still joining us, whether you're watching on demand or whether you're watching us live at the moment, I do have one question for you that I want you to ponder here for a little bit. And that is whether we should move this time that we do Kevin Talks Tech Live every week. So I realize right now it's 11:30 out east on the East Coast. It's 10:30 where I am in downtown Minneapolis, and it's 8:30 on the West Coast out in LA and the Pacific Northwest. I tried to find a time that works really well. I know people on the East Coast are now going to bed earlier, from what I've heard anyway, than they were pre-pandemic. And so that's kind of tried to find that sweet spot so we're not getting our West Coast people too early, but we also don't want to keep our East Coast folks up too late either. So really just looking to find that sweet time. I'm thinking about actually dialing this back an hour or maybe even 2 hours. So it would be 8:30 Central, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 ET. Because Monday nights people are kind of just hanging out inside the house too. So you know how it goes. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted if any times do change, but I would certainly love your input on that. If you have any input to leave, drop it in the comments. Let me know. Would be more than happy to consider your thoughts, because we do want people to come and watch Kevin Talks Tech Live every week, and I want to do it at a time that's convenient for you. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate it. Again, my name is Kevin Hurd. This is Kevin Talks Tech Live. If you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button, because I would love for you to be notified when I post new videos on my channel. And I just really like knowing who subscribed and learning a little bit more about you. So do that for me if you would appreciate it. I'll leave you now with some beautiful shots of downtown Minneapolis. A couple here that I really like. This is, my transitions aren't fading. I apologize for that. There we go. Boom Island. This is not live right now, but one of my favorite areas. Just a nice skyline view to end on here tonight of downtown Minneapolis. And I'll, of course, leave us here on this beautiful drone shot that I love. Downtown skyline. That's US Bank Stadium right there on the right side of your screen, where the Minnesota Vikings play. Not a great team this year. Not doing so hot, but you know what? That's just kind of what you get used to when you're a Minnesota Vikings fan. The Hennepin Avenue Bridge off to your left-hand side there. Beautiful bridge. And, of course, the Mississippi River. It's hard to see in the dark, but that is the mighty Mississippi that flows all the way down to the Gulf. Starts up here in Minnesota. Anyway, hey, guys, thanks for joining me today. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you back here again next Monday, 10 p.m. Central Time. If the time changes, I'll be sure to keep you posted. See you soon.